Gonna start with like one line that I kind of botched in part one, but Castilian is born Ferdinand made Castilian official dialect in their kingdoms. In the same year, the Moors were defeated. An important book appeared, Antonio de Nebrijas Arte de la Lingua Castellana, the art of Castilian language. It was the first book to study and attempt to define a grammar of a European language. Castilian dialect of Toledo became the written and educational standard in Spain, even though several spoken dialects remain. The most noteworthy is Andalusian, a dialect spoken in the southern city of Seville, in the Andalucana region. So yeah. Moving on to the legends, as there's like many, like a couple around out there. There's El Coco, who is kind of like a narrating tale to get kids to do something in common scenario throughout the world. Like many others, I've heard like stories of like boogeymen or that kind of thing, who kind of like creatures who take kids away if they disobey their parents. Now in Spanish is synonymous with El Coco, or Cuco. It's a monstrous creature that kind of eats or kidnaps children if they do cause trouble. And is in many story and rhymes or lullabies. And popular as many parents used to encourage their children to go to bed is like, duermete niño, duermete ya que viene el coco y te comerá. Or, which, sorry for botched that, but translates into sleep child, sleep now, or else the Coco will come and eat you. And the backstories of El Coco takes from the Mezcla, and is caused into Spanish legend. Francisco Ortega, aka El Moruna, was a man sick with tuberculosis at the beginning of the 20th century, and he was desperately looking for a cure to this disease, so he sought help from the curandera. She told him that it would be cured by drinking the blood of children and rubbing their fat on his chest. And so El Maruna kidnapped 7-year-old boy Bernardo in a cloth bag and slit his underarm and drank his blood. And El Cuco is known for walking up and down the streets at night with a black bag, scouting for those children who roam the streets or misbehave. Then there's Ratoncito Perez, or Perez Mouse. And in 1897, Louis Coloma was asked to write a story for the young King Alfonso the 18th, who had just lost a tooth, and Coloma inspired the character of a mouse called Raton Perez, who originally appeared in a story a few years ago called Ratoncito Perez, a mouse who lived in a box of cookies with his family in Madrid and ran through pipes to reach the bedroom of the kids who lost their teeth. And Perez is a Spanish version of the Tooth Fairy and has been quite popular with some people, and the story was later adapted into a movie and other books. And the City Council of Madrid paid tribute to Ratoncito Perez with a commemorative plaque which reads, Here lived in the box of cookies, Ratoncito Perez. According to the story of the father Coloma wrote for the young King Alfonso the 18th, and it was the first time that a fictional character was paid tribute by a city council. There's also the origin of Barcelona. And the legends say that Hercules once set off on a journey with 9 ships, which got separated and 8 were initially found, and he began searching for a 9th, and found it at the bottom of a hill on Juic. and the crew fell in love with her and decided to name the city after Barca, meaning boat, and Nonna, and ninth, meaning ninth. And Hercules said to have also fallen with love with a beautiful girl called Pyrene, Pyrene. However, they could not stay together for more than several months, as they supposedly had to continue their respective journeys, and that is where the names Pyrenees came from. And another one legend says the city's origin was attributed to the Carthaginians, to Hamilcar Barca, Hannibal's father. He arrived in the area and founded a city, and given his surname Barca. But there's no evidence to prove either of the two that I just mentioned. Then there's a hall of Abencerrages. The city of Granada was home to several legends and stories, dating back to the time of the Moors, as the hall of Abencerrages was located in the city, and it derives its name from a legend in which West Nile members of the noble Abencerrages family were invited for a banquet at the Alhambra Palace by the Sultan Abu Hussein. The Sultan had found out that the chief member of the family, Hamid, was courting his favourite concubine, Soraya, and seeking revenge, he called his guards during the banquet and made them slit the throat of every family member. And afterwards, the victims' heads were thrown into the fountain. Legend holds that the stained vigil at the bottom of the fountains today is the blood left as a permanent reminder of the horrible massacre. Now then there's the legend of St. George. It's one of the most popular Catalonian legends, and it actually is still celebrated with great pomp and shadow, especially in around Barcelona and all. And legend has it that there was once a dragon living in Mont Blanc who terrorized the villagers and devoured their animals. Once the animals vanished, the dragon turned his wrath to the people, and the villagers to draw lots and sacrifice a person each day to the dragon. And one of these occasions, the unfortunate person wasn't picked was the princess, and the people offered to take her place, owing to her kind nature, but the king refused to let anyone sacrifice their lives for his daughter. And the princess was sent to the dragon, and just as she was about to be swallowed, a knight in shining armour appeared and fought the creature. And after a rough confrontation, he was able to kill the dragon with his lance and spill the blood, and from the spot where the blood grew, a red rose, which the knight then plucked and presented the princess. And the knight was called San Jorge, or St. George. And I'll link the St. George video in the description below, if you remember. And to commemorate this event every year on the 23rd of April, a huge celebration is carried out on the streets, and men give roses to the woman they love. Then there's the Teruel lovers. And it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. And the legend of the Teruel lovers date back to the 13th century, where Isabel and Diego, both coming from wealthy families, fell in love and wanted to marry. But unfortunate events caused Diego's family to lose their money, and Isabel's father refused to let his daughter marry him. And Diego asked her father for 5 years in which he would make his fortune and return to marry Isabel. No one heard from him in the next 5 years, and on the day of completion of the agreed period, Isabel's father married her off to someone else. And in a twisted turn, right after the wedding ceremony, Diego was seen returning to the city with lots of wealth and riches, and was heartbroken to see the love of his life being married to someone else, and could not bear the thought of the separation. And later that night he sneaked into her bedroom and asked her to kiss him as he was dying, and Isabel refused to do so, as she did not want to deceive her husband. And Diego died next to her bed, leaving her in a shocked state. The next day she went to his funeral in her wedding dress and proceeded to kiss him one last time, but died right there next to his body. And the villagers decided to bury them side by side near the church of San Pedro, so they could be together. And to this day in February, the city celebrates the love of the couple and represent their story in different ways. There's also the giants and dwarves of Catalonia, and during the as locals kind of like build human castles and giants parading and dancing. And there's kind of like figures with oversized heads, like grossos and strange creatures, all preserved in Gracia, but is unsure of the origins. But the oldest documentation dates back to the 14th century. And there was the figures kind of sense of some of the local historical characters such as king, queen, or other important people of society. It can also represent the community as a whole, such as peasants, as the giants were made out of paper mache and carried by people referred to as giant carriers. And there are different local groups who organise parades during festivals, and there's like during fiestas the giants and other creatures come out on the streets and dance in a traditional way, so yeah, it's probably a sight to be seen, so yeah. And that concludes part 2 and the final part of today's video, so yeah, au revoir.